Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 95 based on novel. So let's start. After all, there weren't many cultivators who could break through the planet's atmosphere. They would have to be at least at the soul transformation stage to do so. Even then, they would still need a star compass, or they would find it very hard to navigate their way through the void. Wang Lin carried Zhu Ryu and Little White as they flew across the sky. There were many large mountains under them, causing Zhu Ryu to often exclaim out loud. At a forest in the northern part of the moon, Wang Lin caught Zhu Ryu a big tiger. This tiger was completely purple and 30 feet long. It gave off a very oppressive aura. However, what Wang Lin found very weird was that this tiger had no intelligence. It was far from being as smart as Little White. But there was a mysterious force inside it. With one roar it could send the sand around it flying, and with one pounce it could break metal. Its power wasn't much weaker than a late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators. Wang Lin easily dealt with the tiger. He left an imprint on the tiger's soul, making Zhu Ryu its master. After it couldn't possibly turn on Zhu Ryu, Wang Lin gave it to her as a gift. Zhu Ryu's love for this tiger immediately reached the same level as her love for Little White. In the future, let's call you Little Violet, Zhu Ryu said, as she sat on Little Violet's back and happily clapped her hands. Little White was beside them with his head down. He felt disdain toward the purple tiger. He was a proper demonic tiger. How could this lump compare to him? Thinking about this, he lazily roared at the purple tiger. However, he didn't think that the purple tiger would turn its head toward him and let out a roar in retaliation. This roar was filled with power. It was as if it could shatter the heavens. Little White howled as every hair on his body stood up and he backed up dozens of feet. He stared at the purple tiger in fear and no longer dared to move up. This made Zhu Ryu clap her hands in joy. She said, "Little White, you can't beat Little Violet." Wang Lin watched Zhu Ryu's happy face and began to ponder. Strictly speaking, Wang Lin didn't care too much about Zhu Ryu. At most, he felt like a parent watching their child after spending so much time with her. The only thing he cared about in the end was Li Muwen. The day Li Muwen's nascent soul wakes up is the day Zhu Ryu's soul will be devoured. There was no chance for both of them to survive. If he were to take out Li Muwen's nascent soul early, it would save Zhu Ryu, but that would make it almost impossible for Li Muwen to escape death. After all, Li Muwen's nascent soul was in a deep slumber and was still recovering. If it were taken out now, it would disappear. Wang Lin understood who was more important in his heart. There was no hesitation there. However, to sacrifice this child's life just for his own selfish desire for Li Muwen to awaken caused Wang Lin's heart to struggle. Although he had killed countless people in his life, he was able to face himself and the heavens after he killed them. Although he was a demon, he wasn't a demon that lost had its humanity. Spring passed and autumn came. In the blink of an eye, 2 years passed. Zhu Ryu was now 15 years old. There were still 4 years until Li Muwen awakens. In these past 2 years, Zhu Ryu slowly grew and bloomed into a lovely girl. The amount of times Li Muwen appeared in her dreams greatly increased. Wang Lin spent these past 2 years cultivating. Throughout this time, the bitterness in his heart became stronger and stronger. Choosing Li Muwen was a must. However, how he would ensure this child's life when Li Muwen awakened was a question he was still mulling over. Zhu Ryu became more and more quiet in these past 2 years. She would often sit on Little Violet's back with Little White behind them and stare at the sky. Zhu Ryu whispered, "Little White, I can feel the big sister inside me slowly awaken. When she finally wakes up, I'll be gone. After I'm gone, you must be good, Little White. I'll ask Uncle to take you back home. Little White, after I leave, will you think of me?" Little White raised his head to look at Zhu Ryu. His eyes were filled with complex feelings. Although Zhu Ryu would often bully him, in truth, he could feel that Zhu Ryu really loved him. When Little Violet would bully him, Zhu Ryu would side with him and scold Little Violet. Little White kept all of this in his heart. Although he was a demonic tiger, his heart felt bitter as he looked at Zhu Ryu and nodded his big head. Zhu Ryu faintly smiled. She jumped off Little Violet and arrived next to Little White. She rubbed his fur and said, "Little White, after I'm gone, do you think Uncle will think of me?" Little White let out a soft growl and looked at Zhu Ryu. Zhu Ryu rubbed Little White's fur and felt depressed. She looked at the figure sitting on the mountain in the distance and quietly though in her heart, "Uncle, little Ayu understands. Even now, whenever you look at me, you are looking at the big sister and not at me. She must be very important to you. Little Ayu knows what to do." Ju Ayu's eyes became watery as she looked over at the big and dumb little Violet and whispered, "Little Violet, once I'm gone, you will be free." Wang Lin was sitting at the top of the mountain. Although he looked like he was cultivating, he was actually just staring at the sky. Wang Lin pondered. The heavens will. I, Wang Lin, have always resisted the heavens will, but I was still played by it this time. Ju Ayu's call came from below. Uncle, can you come down?" Wang Lin lowered his head and looked at Ju Ayu with a complex expression. He jumped off the mountain and landed next to her. "Uncle, sit down. Little Ayu wants to brush your hair." Ju Ayu revealed an innocent smile. She was holding a wooden brush that Tai Yang had gifted her. She didn't wait for Wang Lin to answer before she dragged him to a big rock. After having Wang Lin sit down, she went behind him and began to carefully brush his hair. Her expression was very serious. After a while, she said, "Uncle, can you tell little Ayu stories of you and big sister?" Wang Lin pondered. After a long time, he slowly nodded. A story came from his mouth and landed in Ju Ayu's ears. She brushed his hair as she listened and her body would occasionally tremble as if she had understood something. Ju Ayu put down the wooden brush and whispered, "Uncle, if I die early, does that mean big sister Wan won't be able to wake up?" Wang Lin turned around to look at Ju Ayu. What he saw was a hint of unfamiliarity in her. Ju Ayu raised her head to look at Wang Lin. Her eyes were filled with sadness as she whispered, "Uncle, in your eyes, is little Ayu only a body for big sister Wan to wake up in? Ever since I was small, I considered you my family, my uncle. When you look at me, I want you to see the real me and not big sister Wan, even if only once." Wang Lin looked at Ju Ayu. After pondering for a bit, he said, "Little Ayu, you are tired. Go rest." With that, he turned around and disappeared. The wooden brush in Ju Ayu's hand fell to the ground. She squatted down on the ground and began to cry. 2 streams of tears flowed down from the corners of her eyes. While Ju Ayu cried, she muttered, "Uncle, I'm scared." Wang Lin's figure appeared in the distance and slightly trembled. The complex emotions in his eyes became even stronger. "Wan, if it was you, how would you choose?" Little White went missing. He went missing without a sound, but Wang Lin saw that he had quietly left in the middle of the night. Ju Ayu became very sad over Little White leaving and became very sick. While she slept due to her illness, she could often call out to Little White. Although she often bullied Little White, he held a very important place in her heart. Although she had Little Violet now, Little White was still very important to her. Little White was her friend, her only friend. However, when Wang Lin was going to get Little White back, she stopped him. She begged Wang Lin and whispered, "If Little White wants to leave, it is his choice. He should have the right to choose. He is more fortunate than little Ju Ayu, don't go looking for him." Wang Lin's heart felt very painful as he walked away in silence. He thought about what to do 4 years from now to save both of them and came up with a plan. "Uncle doesn't want me anymore. Little White, you also left." 1 month later, Ju Ayu's illness had gotten better, but she was even quieter than before and would often be in a daze looking into the distance. On one morning 2 months later, a tired but excited roar could be heard. Little White appeared in Ju Ayu's vision and with a few jumps arrived next to her. In his mouth was a fire-red tree branch with a fruit attached to it. Little White returned. Ju Ayu looked at Little White. She was very happy and angry at the same time. "Little White, you didn't abandon me." Little White, Ju Ayu hugged Little White. As tears rolled down her cheeks, she revealed a happy smile. Little White was skinnier now and his fur was no longer neat. There were clear signs of injuries on his body and he was no longer as fierce. Instead, he looked very tired. There was even a deep wound on his stomach. Although that wound was already sealed, there was still some blood on his fur. Little White put down the branch on the ground and licked Ju Ayu. Then he carefully looked around to make sure that Wang Lin wasn't around. He pulled Ju Ayu's clothes and then touched the fruit on the ground. "Little White, what are you?" Ju Ayu was startled as she picked up the fruit on the ground. Little White looked around and became very anxious. He let out a few growls, telling Ju Ryu to quickly eat it. Little White, you want me to eat this? Ju Ryu had been with Little White for a long time, so she was able to immediately tell what he meant. Little White quickly nodded and his eyes were anxious again. Ju Ryu picked up the fruit and whispered, Little White, what fruit is this? Wang Lin's voice floated in from the distance. He said, that is a nascent soul-shattering fruit. All the hair on Little White's body stood straight up. He quickly jumped to block Ju Ryu from Wang Lin and began to growl. Wang Lin slowly walked over from where he was. He immediately noticed when Little White returned and saw the fruit he was carrying. What a good demonic tiger, sacrificing yourself for your master. Wang Lin looked at Little White. Fear appeared in Little White's eyes, but he still stood before Ju Ryu and growled. Ju Ryu rubbed Little White's fur and asked, Uncle, what is a nascent soul-shattering fruit? Wang Lin slowly said, after you eat the fruit, although Wan, who is inside you, won't die, she will become very weak. Ju Ryu was startled. She lowered her head to look at Little White and whispered, Little White, so you went to look for this fruit for me when you left. She let out a sigh and threw the fruit to the side. The fruit rolled a few times before falling down a cliff. Ju Ryu raised her head and looked at Wang Lin. Uncle, don't hurt Little White, okay? Wang Lin looked at Ju Ryu. He nodded and then left. Ju Ryu bit her lower lip as she looked at Wang Lin's back. That figure was so unfamiliar. Ju Ryu exclaimed, Uncle, you can relax. Ju Ryu knows what to do to allow you and big sister Wan to reunite. Wang Lin's body paused. He pondered a bit before continuing to walk away. Another 2 years quickly passed by. On this day, a thick mass of black fog erupted from the giant hole that led to the immortal graveyard. This black fog pierced into the sky. The fog turned into a very strange plant with very large leaves. There were countless tattoos on the plant and it gave off a strange aura. Just at this moment, a golden light appeared in the sky. Inside the golden light were the illusions of 5 glowing flying swords. The moment the golden light appeared, it turned into a net and covered the plant. After a series of rumbling sounds, it forcibly suppressed the plant. My clan has been hiding for tens of thousands of years, but today, no one will stop my clan from taking back planet Fu Wen, an ancient voice said, from deep within the immortal graveyard, and then a very ancient-looking old man walked out from the hole. There weren't any tattoos on the old man's body, but if one looked closely, there was a plant flashing on his forehead. Upon closer inspection, there were 11 leaves on that plant. No. After another closer look, there was another leaf under the 11 leaves. Although it was not completely open, it was opened 1/3 of the way. The moment the old man walked out from the hole, the 5 swords in the sky all hummed in unison. 2 of the swords left the golden net and charged toward the old man. The old man's expression was calm as he whispered, the country of Suzaku's first generation Suzaku sacrificed himself along with 9 mid-stage ascendant cultivators to create these 5 swords to seal my forsaken immortal clan for tens of thousands of years. Today I can do the same thing by sacrificing myself to free my forsaken immortal clan. Absorb. He pointed forward with his right hand and a giant tattoo appeared before him. This tattoo let out a primal aura and immediately began to spread. Those 2 flying swords began to tremble, then they managed to break free from the power of the tattoo and quickly backed away. Return. The old man's eyes were calm. It was as if he had seen through everything. He waved his right hand and then a heaven-shattering roar came from the sky. Countless tattoos appeared in the air soon after. They interlocked with each other to create a tattoo that looked like it could split the heavens. The 2 flying swords stopped struggling and flew toward the old man like lightning. Bang! Bang! 2 bangs that echoed across the entire planet could be heard as the 2 swords stabbed into the old man's chest. They were struggling to escape but couldn't. Back then, this old man was but a coward who had to watch countless clan members die. Although I lived, my heart died back then. The old man pointed at the golden net in the sky. 2 more flying swords quickly flew toward him. Although they struggled, it was to avail. They were controlled by the old man to stab into his chest as well. It has been tens of thousands of years and I was originally supposed to be dead, but my clan regarded me as their founding ancestor. They fed me my own clan's tattoos to keep me alive. I survived on the lives of my own clan members. I'm a sinner of my clan. The old man looked at the last flying sword in the golden net. He took a deep breath and reached out, then the final golden sword suddenly began to struggle. But it seemed like the golden sword didn't have enough power to resist. After a while, it charged out from the golden net and stabbed toward the old man. This old man is a sinner of the Forsaken Immortal clan who deserves to die. Today this old man broke through the 11 leaves stage and my 12th leaf has started to open, placing me a level above what the cultivators call ascendant. However, this old man's talent is limited, so I wasn't able to fully absorb the power to truly take that last step. I'm a disgrace to the ancestors and I'm not worthy of all the clan members who died to keep me alive. The last flying sword rushed over and stabbed the old man right between the eyes. The old man's eyes slowly dimmed. This old man is a sinner, but my death will allow my clan to return to the surface. Allow me to be sealed in place of the Forsaken Immortal tree. With my soul as a sacrifice, my clan can reappear. At that moment, the light in the old man's eyes went out and his hands reached out to tear open the sky. A sound that reverberated through the entire planet could be heard as the golden net was split in half. The giant plant that was suppressed by the golden net immediately charged out and became like a pillar holding up the heavens. At the same time, the countless tattoos surrounding the area shattered and disappeared. The old man's body slowly merged with the giant plant and disappeared. At this moment, the Forsaken Immortal clan members came out of the hole one by one. More and more of them came out and every single one of them bowed deeply toward the plant. Among those Forsaken Immortal clan members was a woman who was wearing a veil. Her eyes underneath the veil were calm. I hope you aren't lying to me. I want that Chien Feng to die without a grave. 50 kilometers away, a burly man wearing a straw hat looked at the giant plant and muttered, I hope you didn't lie to me. I want the Four-Sect Alliance to return. Kill. A roar that could pierce the heavens came from the Immortal Graveyard. This wasn't a roar from one person but from all the Forsaken Immortal clan members. This roar traveled through the high heavens and echoed across the land. At this moment, an angry roar came from the cave Shukyuzi was cultivating in at the top of Mount Suzaku. The roar caused the cave to explode, leaving behind only dust. Shukyuzi, who was wearing a red robe, appeared from the void. He looked at the direction of the Immortal Graveyard with a very ugly expression. Damn remnants of the Forsaken Immortal clan. You guys are causing death. Shukyuzi reached out and all the clouds seemed to gather in his hand. Soon, a white token formed from the clouds appeared in his palm. He slapped it with his left hand and the token split into 2, then to 4, and so on. I'm calling all cultivation countries as the 14th generation Suzaku. The second war with the Forsaken Immortal clan begins. The cloud tokens quickly disappeared. Then the old man walked out of his long years of closed-door cultivation in the Heavenly Jade sect in the country of Suzaku. He was wearing a black robe and was very skinny, but his eyes lit up as he looked toward the Immortal Graveyard. He whispered, things are changing. This old man was the early-stage ascendant ancestor that the entire Heavenly Jade sect respected, Chu Yunfei. The Earth Soul sect was in eastern side of Suzaku. There was a cave deep underground below the sect, and inside it sat a middle-aged man. At this moment, this man suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes gave off an ancient feel as he sighed. This day has finally come. I can't believe I got caught up in this, The final sect in Suzaku was the Immortals' Path sect, however, there was no commotion here. The ascendant ancestor of the Immortals' Path sect was very mysterious. Very few people knew of his whereabouts or even what he looked like. Pailu, Soul Refining Sect. Du Tien opened his eyes and sneered before closing them once more. This calamity on planet Suzaku had nothing to do with Wang Lin. He was only focused on facing the second arrival of the Heaven's Messenger so Li Muwen could be reborn. There were 2 years left until Li Muwen's awakening. In these 2 years, Zhu Aryu spent most of her time in silence. It was as if there was already a huge barrier between her and Wang Lin. Wang Lin could feel Li Muwen's nascent soul slowly awakening in her body and Zhu Aryu's life force slowly disappearing. When her life force completely disappears, Li Muwen will have completely devoured Zhu Aryu's soul. However, the speed at which Li Muwen's nascent soul was growing had slowed down over the last year. It was as if it wasn't willing to grow, it wasn't willing to devour Zhu Aryu's soul. Wang Lin knew that it was because Li Muwen had recovered some of her consciousness. She wasn't willing to sacrifice a child to allow herself to reawaken. This was her choice and it was not Wang Lin's decision to make. He used his spiritual energy to stop her, allowing her nascent soul to continue to grow inside Zhu Aryu. I know you aren't willing to devour this child. Believe in me, I'll do this properly and not harm her at all. Once you have awakened, we can send her back to her parents. What I want is your nascent soul, not this child's body. This was Wang Lin's promise to Li Muwen. Wang Lin lied to Li Muwen. He couldn't think of a way to protect Li Muwen and also make sure Zhu Yu's soul remained intact. If he were to pull out Zhu Yu's soul in advance, the death aura created at that moment would be very harmful to Li Muwen's nascent soul. Even if her nascent soul could withstand it, it would be seriously injured and would most likely shatter soon after. This was still secondary though. The moment Zhu Yu's soul is removed, the heaven's messenger will descend. Without Zhu Yu's soul to mask Li Muwen's nascent soul, Li Muwen will be exposed before the heavens. At that moment, Li Muwen's nascent soul won't be fully recovered, so the heaven's law will still affect her greatly. The original plan wasn't like this. Li Muwen's nascent soul was supposed to fuse with the baby's flesh. Doing this would make it so that her soul would belong to the baby, allowing her to effectively dodge the heaven's law. But right now everything had changed. Aside from Li Muwen devouring Zhu Yu's soul, nothing else could resolve this change. This answer was the dead end Wang Lin had reached after 4 years of struggling. There was no doubt in his heart when he thought about who was more important. He had already decided to sacrifice Zhu Yu to allow Li Muwen to awaken. This choice was very cruel and was very painful for Wang Lin as well. However, Wang Lin was an old monster who had cultivated for 500 years. After 4 years of struggling, his heart was as hard as steel. Wang Lin looked at Zhu Yu, who was silently pondering on a rock in the distance, and thought to himself, Zhu Yu, I will not forget this kindness. I'll make sure your family lives in prosperity for 10 generations. They will rule over Chu. As if she had heard Wang Lin, a body trembled as she turned toward him. Tears appeared at the corners of her eyes, but there was a big smile on her face. These last 2 years slowly went by day by day. The day at which the heaven's messenger will arrive was getting closer. After arriving at the moon, Wang Lin had never gone back to Suzaku, so he naturally didn't know about the big changes that were taking place in the country of Suzaku. The current country of Suzaku could be said to be covered in the flames of war. The Forsaken Immortal clan had moved out with 4 9-leaf shamans, which were equal in power to ascendant cultivators, and began a back-and-forth war with the country of Suzaku. At the same time, one shocking piece of news after another echoed across planet Suzaku. Most of the news contained the word, betrayal. Various figureheads of cultivation countries and ancestors of sects betrayed the country of Suzaku. Due to many of these betrayals at key points of battles, the country of Suzaku was forced to retreat many times. Now a rumor was spreading across planet Suzaku. Countless years ago, the Forsaken Immortal clan came up with a technique. By sacrificing a large number of clan members, they could turn a clan member into a cultivator. In these countless years, the Forsaken Immortal clan converted 9 different people. Because they didn't have the bodies of Forsaken Immortal clan members, they weren't restricted by the seal, so they went out and joined various sects. This was the strongest card the Forsaken Immortal clan had for this war. The moon was currently countless times quieter than planet Suzaku. There were only 3 more months until the fated day. Zhu Yu hadn't spoken for an entire year. The time she spent sleeping had increased greatly. Now she was sleeping for a majority of the day. Little White still stayed by her side. The sadness in his eyes deepened more each day. As for Little Violent, he didn't understand anything, so he just lied on the ground and looked at Zhu Yu and Little White in confusion. Wang Lin's divine sense was always locked onto Zhu Yu to keep an eye on Li Muwen's nascent soul. He also kept his body at peak condition so he could deal with the heaven's messenger at any moment. The original body was doing the same deep in the molten core of the moon. He couldn't allow himself to lose this battle against the heaven's messenger. While Zhu Yu was sleeping, she would sometimes sleep talk. She would still say, "Uncle, I'm scared," but these words became less and less frequent. Most of the time she was muttering something too jumbled to make out. Whenever she spoke like this, tears would come out of her eyes. The 19-year-old Zhu Yu had grown up. Although she wasn't an exquisite beauty, she had a sense of innocence and purity. Ju Ru spent the whole final month sleeping. She didn't wake up even once this month. Li Muwen's nascent soul had begun to devour her. Little White and Little Violet had been sealed away by Wang Lin to prevent them from messing with Li Muwen's awakening. He was currently beside Ju Ru. His heart felt pain as he looked at the little girl. "Uncle, who are you?" "Uncle, thank you for saving me." "Uncle, you promised to catch me a big tiger." "Uncle, I'm scared. Can you take away the little person inside me?" His memories of Ju Ru flashed across his mind. After a while, Wang Lin let out a long sigh. Time slowly passed by and the last month slowly came to its end. The final day had finally arrived. Wang Lin could feel Li Muwen's nascent soul awaken. She was currently devouring Ju Ru's soul. Grey clouds suddenly appeared in the sky above the moon. The moment they appeared, they began to gather. Inside the clouds, a pair of eyes appeared. Wang Lin was very familiar with this pair of eyes. The heaven's messenger from 19 years ago descended once more. That gaze swept past Wang Lin and landed on Ju Ru. The pair of eyes glowed as a giant hand reached out toward her. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Without any hesitation, he jumped into the air and pointed at the giant hand. At this moment, the life and death scroll appeared in the sky. Wang Lin shouted, "Scram!" Thick strands of grey gas came out of the life and death scroll and gathered before Wang Lin. The giant hand from the heaven's messenger arrived and collided with the grey gas. Boom! An earth-shattering sound echoed across the area as the grey gas from the life and death scroll was pushed apart and the giant hand bounced back. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. After sending out a message with his mind, the ground began to crack open. His original body charged out of the ground, went after the giant hand, and punched it hard. Boom! Another earth-shattering sound echoed across the area. The sky split open and the earth shattered. The retreating hand was completely shattered by the original body's punch. Wang Lin's eyes were like lightning. He said, in a deep voice, "This time you still won't be able to take away Li Muwen's soul." The pair of eyes in the clouds didn't change at all, but this time two hands suddenly came down from the sky. There was red lightning crackling and popping all over the two hands. Wang Lin's eyes became serious. This time the heaven's messenger seemed to be prepared. The two giant hands quickly arrived. One reached toward Wang Lin and the other toward his original body. The original body let out a roar and immediately grew into a giant more than 100 feet tall. The three purple stars on its forehead began to rapidly spin as it threw out a punch. Bang! A powerful shockwave quickly spread out in the air. The original body was knocked back with red light all over its body. It then smashed into a mountain, causing the entire mountain to turn to dust. That giant arm was bounced back once more, but this time it didn't shatter. As for Wang Lin, when the arm came, his hand formed a seal and pointed at the giant hand. The life and death scroll in the sky suddenly closed and moved before him to block for him. The giant hand grabbed the scroll. It paused for a moment and then was about to withdraw with the scroll. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot as he shouted, "Shake!" The life and death scroll shook and a large amount of grey gas came out of it. Sizzling sounds came from the hand along with white gas. In the end, the giant hand had to let go of the scroll and withdraw. The pair of eyes ruthlessly looked at Ju Ru, who was currently behind Wang Lin. The pair of giant hands ripped apart the clouds, revealing a giant face. This face looked extremely normal, but the moment one saw it, they would feel respect for it. This face represented the might of the heavens. He coldly stared at Wang Lin and opened his mouth. A strand of grey light suddenly flew out of his mouth and formed a wheel. The moment this wheel appeared, the sky changed colors and the earth shook. Countless cracks began to spread with Wang Lin as the center, and in the blink of an eye the land within 5,000 kilometers began to crack open. Countless spatial rifts appeared in the sky. These spatial rifts linked together, making it look as if the sky was going to fall. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy. With only a thought, his original body arrived and fused with him. The real Wang Lin appeared. The giant face didn't even look at Wang Lin. He moved his large hand toward the wheel and touched it. A mysterious sound came from the wheel, and then the entire area seemed to be surrounded by a powerful force. Wang Lin's expression changed. He was familiar with this power. It was the power of the reincarnation cycle. Just as his body was about to move, all of the surrounding reincarnation cycle power gathered and descended upon Wang Lin. At this moment, the power of the reincarnation cycle seemed to form a prison, and Wang Lin was trapped inside. He wasn't able to move his body even 1 inch, he couldn't even raise a single finger. After the giant hand finished messing with the wheel, it descended like lightning. Its target was Zhu Ru. Wang Lin wasn't able to move his body at all, but his heart screamed, "No!" He had worked hard for 19 years just for this moment, but now he could only watch as the giant hand was about to take Li Muwen's nascent soul away. This video will end here.